My name is Chris Sullivan, and at 68, I thought I was starting over. My wife Eleanor had passed 2 years prior, and the new craftsman-style house in Portland, Oregon, wasn't just a purchase, it was a declaration. After 3 decades of designing buildings, I'd finally bought something for myself. A place filled with oak floors, built-in bookshelves, and an east-facing kitchen window, perfect for morning coffee. It had 3 bedrooms, one for me, one for my office, and one for my 8-year-old granddaughter, Grace, who inherited Eleanor's eyes and her mother's determination. My son, Matthew, a patient and thoughtful high school English teacher, lived 20 minutes away with his wife Olivia. They'd been married for 9 years, and while Matthew was everything a son should be, Olivia was different, charming, a real estate agent who knew how to make you feel important. But beneath the surface, I sensed something else. She was ambitious, always chasing big deals, yet I noticed Matthew quietly shouldering more household expenses. Then, 3 months ago, she suggested I put my new house into a family trust. Just for estate planning, Dad, she'd said, using the term dad with a possessiveness that chilled me. It would make things so much easier for Matthew when the time comes. When the time comes, the phrase echoed in my mind. I was 68, not 88, and her words felt less like concern and more like anticipation. My architect's instinct, the one that could spot a structural flaw hidden by fresh paint, whispered that Olivia's helpfulness had foundations I couldn't quite see. I dismissed it as paranoia, but Eleanor wasn't here to tell me I was being ridiculous. Tonight was my housewarming party. I'd set out glasses, arranged furniture, and bought Matthew's favorite whiskey. Everything was ready. Everything was perfect. Yet a low-grade anxiety hummed beneath my excitement. Why did my mind keep circling back to Olivia's smile, to the family trust? I checked the locks, reviewed my will, and told myself I was being absurd. It's just a party, I said aloud to the empty house, my voice sounding strange, like it belonged to someone older than I felt. The first guests arrived. Matthew, Olivia, and Grace. My old colleague James, and a few new neighbors. The house filled with laughter and conversation. Olivia, radiant in a cream-colored dress, moved through the room, charming everyone. She approached me, a crystal glass of amber liquid in her hand. "This one's for you, Dad," she said, her smile bright, almost too bright. A new beginning. I reached for the glass, about to take a sip, when Grace tugged my sleeve, pointing to a new drawing she'd made. I set the glass down on the coffee table, just for a moment, to admire her artwork. That's when Matthew, standing behind me, picked up the glass without thinking. "Thanks, Dad," he said, taking a long swallow. My heart lurched. "Matthew, no," I started, but it was too late. He'd already drunk a third of it. 30 minutes later, Matthew was on the floor, convulsing, his eyes rolling back in his head. The paramedics arrived, sirens wailing, and rushed him to the hospital. The party dissolved into chaos. Olivia was a picture of distraught concern, but her eyes, I noticed, were strangely dry. At the hospital, the doctor's words were a blur. Severe poisoning, sedatives, 6 times the lethal dose. My mind reeled. Someone had tried to kill me. And Matthew, my son, had accidentally taken the hit. The police were called, and I gave my statement, carefully omitting my suspicions about Olivia. I needed proof. Matthew recovered, slowly, but the incident left him weak and disoriented. While he was still in the hospital, I went back to my house. The crystal glass, the one Olivia had given me, was still on the coffee table. I carefully bagged it, along with the remaining liquid, and sent it to a private lab for analysis. The results confirmed my darkest fears. A potent cocktail of sedatives, crushed into the whiskey. A few days later, Matthew was home, still frail. I visited, bringing him soup. Olivia was there, playing the role of the devoted wife, fussing over him. She stepped into the kitchen to answer a call, leaving the door slightly ajar. I froze, listening. "I told you it went wrong," she hissed into the phone. "He's still alive. We need another plan. It's too risky right now. Everyone's watching. We wait." The call ended abruptly. A second later, she re-entered the living room, her face bright and cheerful. "Dad, you should stay for dinner." My blood turned to ice. We need another plan. Not I. We. And, he's still alive. Clearly referred to me. She hadn't stopped. The poison drink was just the first attempt. My son was home, trusting her completely, and I was the only one who knew she was planning the next move. I couldn't just gather evidence anymore. I had to stop her. 3 days later, Olivia called me. Her voice was sweet, sickly sweet. Dad, I feel just terrible about what happened at the party. I want to help make it up to you. I let the silence stretch, waiting. Matthew mentioned your gutters need cleaning before winter sets in. I have a ladder, and I'm free this Saturday. Let me take care of that for you. Matthew had mentioned no such thing. I'd cleaned those gutters myself weeks ago, but I kept my voice neutral. That's very thoughtful, Olivia. Saturday works. What time? She suggested 10 a.m., mentioning her professional-grade aluminum extension ladder. She wanted me to know it was sturdy, reliable, safe. I immediately called James. James, I need a favor. Saturday morning. Can you stop by my house around 10:15? Maybe you forgot a tool here last week. There was a pause. Chris, what's going on? Olivia's coming over to help clean my gutters. I don't know what I think, but I have a bad feeling. Just be there. Please. I'll be there. Saturday morning, I set my phone on the living room windowsill, angled to record the front yard where the gutters ran. I started recording video and went outside to wait. Olivia arrived at 10 o'clock sharp, her ladder strapped to her car. She looked the part, competent, helpful. Good morning, Dad, she beamed. Beautiful day for home maintenance, isn't it? She unstrapped the ladder and set it against the wall, just below the gutter above the porch. You stay down here, okay? She patted my shoulder, condescendingly. Your balance isn't what it used to be. We don't want another hospital trip. The words landed like a slap, but I smiled. You're right. I appreciate you doing this. She adjusted the ladder, tested its stability, then started climbing. She stopped halfway up, about 12 feet off the ground, and looked into the gutter. Oh my goodness, Dad, these are so clogged. This is going to take a while. Take your time, I called up. I'm right here if you need anything. I waited until she was focused on the roofline, then walked casually back toward the front door, stepped inside, and moved to the window where my phone was recording. Through the glass, I had a perfect view, and what I saw made my blood freeze. Olivia wasn't cleaning the gutters. Her hands were on the ladder, working the locking mechanism where the two sections overlapped. I'd worked with ladders for 40 years. I knew how they were built, how they locked, how they failed. She pulled a small ratcheting wrench from her tool bag. Just then, James's car pulled into the driveway. Olivia startled, dropping the wrench, which clattered to the ground. She quickly tried to re-engage the locking mechanism, but it was too late. James was already out of his car, walking toward the house. Chris, forgot my tape measure last week, he called out, playing his part perfectly. Olivia, flustered, quickly climbed down. Everything all right, Olivia? James asked, picking up the wrench she'd dropped. She stammered, just a little. Maintenance. I stepped outside, my phone still recording. Thanks for coming, James. Olivia was just about to finish up. The evidence was undeniable. The video showed her tampering with the ladder, the wrench was in James's hand, and her flustered reactions spoke volumes. I called the police. This time, I had proof. Olivia was arrested, and the investigation uncovered a web of debt, a secret lover, and a life insurance policy on me, with Matthew as the primary beneficiary. She'd planned to inherit my house through the trust, then collect the insurance money after my accident. The phone call I'd overheard, the "we need another plan," was with her lover, who was also arrested. The house, once a symbol of new beginnings, had become a battlefield. Now, it was finally home. Not just a structure of wood and nails, but a place where people who love you gather safely. Matthew and I rebuilt our trust from the ruins, stronger than ever. Grace's laughter echoed through the rooms. I learned that family isn't about who shares your blood. It's about who stands beside you when the circle closes. Matthew drank poison to save me. I gathered evidence to save him. This house, this beautiful craftsman home I'd worked 30 years to afford, was finally truly mine. Not just legally, but in the way that mattered most, where love ruled. To you listening, remember this. I never imagined the greatest threat to my life would come from someone who called me Dad, with a smile, while planning my death. God gave me instincts. That cold feeling when Olivia handed me the glass. I'm alive today because I listened. God also gave me a son brave enough to drink poison meant for me, turning himself into evidence that couldn't be denied. And God surrounded me with people like James when I needed them most. This story taught me that you can't ignore warning signs just because they come from family. When something feels wrong, it usually is. Don't wait until you're holding lab results proving someone tried to kill you before you act. Trust your gut, document everything, and never, ever assume that marriage certificates or blood relations guarantee safety. Protecting yourself and those you love, that's not revenge, that's justice. When someone tries to take everything from you, fighting back isn't optional, it's necessary. Predators count on your silence, your doubt, your unwillingness to believe someone close could harm you. Don't give them that advantage. The moment you sense danger, act. Gather evidence. Build your case. Protect yourself before you become another statistic. What I experienced wasn't just a story of betrayal. It was a father and son protecting each other against a calculated killer. That's the power of real family bonds.